In this video, I'm going to discuss Inventory 1, Setup, Location Setup menu. By registering each warehouse as a location, you can easily figure out the quantity currently on hand of each warehouse and factory and control inventory changes accordingly. So in order to register, you can click New button at the bottom, set the location code as the desired code, and enter the actual name of the corresponding warehouse, and save. In the type field under the name, you can classify location codes as a warehouse or factory, depending on whether production is carried out in the corresponding location. The warehouse option is a type you can use for both trading and manufacturing industry, and select it if you simply move inventory in and out from sales and purchases. On the other hand, factory and outsourcing factory options, you can use them if you're a manufacturer and perform production activities that involve a manufacturing process that is carried out in the corresponding location. So depending on whether you outsource the corresponding manufacturing process, you can select either factory or outsourcing factory. Once you select either of them, a new field named Process will be created. A process is an activity carried out in the corresponding factory in order to produce a finished good or semi-finished good. So, for example, activities such as assembling, cutting, and packaging can be registered as a process. So if you click on the magnifying glass icon of Process field, you can register a new process. Click New and Edit at the bottom, and then click New again, and then New Process window will pop up. Enter the process code and name, and enter the order, and save. Here the order field means where the corresponding process is located in the process of manufacturing line. So for instance, if you first produce semi-finished good A, and then produce finished good B with the semi-finished good A, then register the process of the semi-finished good A as the first order, and then that of the finished good B as the second order. The order of each process will affect when you later generate a costing, so make sure to set correctly the order of each process. Also, if two processes are carried out in a single factory, you may assume that you need to link the two processes to a single factory code. However, in ECOUNT, you can match a process and a factory only one by one. And therefore, in this case, you need to register the corresponding factory as two individual factory codes, and then link each process to each factory code one by one by clicking on the magnifying glass of the Process field. And the difference between a factory and an outsourcing factory. Firstly, costing method will slightly differ by each type. So for instance, if an item is manufactured in your own factory, you will enter the weight for allocating labor cost field and weighted expense ratio field in Item Setup Cost tab. And when you later create a costing, the expenses entered in these fields will be applied to cost calculation. On the other hand, if item A is manufactured in an outsourcing factory, when you generate a costing for item A, these fields will not affect the costing, but the amount entered in outsourcing expenses price will apply to cost calculation. And then we're going to go back to Location Setup menu. The second difference between a factory and an outsourcing factory is that you can connect an outsourcing vendor code to an outsourcing factory. Later, when goods are produced in an outsourcing factory and when you enter goods receipt, you will enter the payment of the corresponding outsourcing cost. And then the program will pull the outsourcing vendor code entered here in order to process the payables and purchase invoices of the corresponding outsourcing cost. So we're going to look over this part more in detail in the Outsourcing Expenses Collective Invoicing video. Moving on, the tax rate fields you see here. You can use them if you want to apply an identical tax rate to all the items received into or released from the corresponding location or factory. So if I give you an example, I have set the tax rate of Korea warehouse as set manually and 3%. If we go to inventory sales, new sales, and enter Korea warehouse in the location outfield, and then enter green tea latte as a sale item and enter 10 as quantity. Since the price is $10, based on the default tax rate, the tax amount should be $8.75. However, the tax rate of Korea warehouse is 3%, and therefore you can see the tax amount has been calculated as $3 here. And one thing to keep in mind here is that the tax rate of the item code should not be set as set manually. You can verify the setting in Item Setup, Item Info tab, Tax Rate field. So if this field is set as set manually, the location tax rate will not be applied. In order to apply location tax rate, this field must be set as default. And then let's go back to Location Setup menu. And lastly, look at the Sales Price Group field and Purchase Price Group field. These fields can be used if you want to apply a special price to the items sold from or purchased into a location. So in order to use these fields, you need to first set up price level groups in Price Level Registration menu, and then apply the existing groups to each location using these fields. For more details, please refer to the corresponding video. So here I have registered a price level group named Store A Price and set the light bulb item to be sold for $2 if it's sold at the Store A. And the default sale price of the light bulb is currently set as $1. With these settings, if you go to Location Setup and set the sales price group of Store A as Store A Price and save, when you later go to New Sales, enter Store A, and then enter the light bulb, you can verify that the price level price of $2 has been loaded by the program. However, note that a price level group price will not be applied to all items. Only the items connected to the corresponding price level group will be applicable to the price level group price.